Hi, this is Joey O'Neill from Sound Systems Incorporated in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We're currently at Holden Beach Chapel in Holden Beach, North Carolina, obviously. And I'm just going to run through the quick layout of the equipment rack. We did some sound system upgrades for the church. Worked out pretty well. We installed a digital mixer and line array speakers, updated some wiring, EQ'd a few things, yada yada. And many of the items in the rack remain the same for the church, but I just wanted to go through a few of the items, and I'll try to stay out of the way of the video. The church still turns the sound system on and off the same way they used to with the previous system. Main power controlled by a little power conditioner here, and then you may not be able to see it in the video, but there's a crown power amplifier on the bottom, so they would turn this on first and then the amplifier on second. The crown amplifier, the storage rack, the DBX drive rack was previously owned by the church. I did take the liberty of taking the preset that the previous install company had stored. I changed the EQ, we EQ'd the room obviously, and I went ahead and stored the preset in all 25 different settings. They always had to keep it on number 5, which is fine. But what I did is I copied that setting to all 25 different settings. So for example, if somebody hit the button incorrectly, they're really not changing anything, they're just moving it to a different number. So I just did that for safety purposes. This is a blank rack. This is a Tascam CDR 900, which is a CD recorder that we installed, a blank. And then this is a Tascam CD 200IL, which is a playback unit that we installed. Hearing impaired, was owned by the church previously, and that's a blank, and that's the power supply. So, a couple important things, and we'll just run through this pretty quick. The CD player is a very, very flexible piece. It has an auxiliary input, which would take a 3.5, so anybody that comes in that has music on their iPad or their computer, or anything like that, we can quickly supply sound from that source and get it into the sound system. Wedding or funeral, somebody's got their favorite song, you know the drill. You can plug this 3.5 cable into the auxiliary input, come out of their iPhone, iPad, whatever device, computer, and then play audio through the sound system. But also there's a dock for an iPod that we can pull out and obviously put the iPod in the dock. It would charge it and play the music. I can shut that, and then obviously there's a CD player. So the only difficult piece, the only difficult explanation about this particular piece is you toggle between shift and source. So for example, if I took the 3.5 cable, plugged it into my phone, and I wanted to hear something playing off my iPad, then I would hit shift and source, and the display would go to auxiliary. Now I can play something through my auxiliary. Now the tricky thing about this piece though is if I do not have the cable plugged into the auxiliary, it doesn't sense it and it won't let me do anything. See, it just let me go just to CD only, and it won't let me do it. So I have to plug the 3.5 cable into the auxiliary in. Also, I would have to plug the iPod into the iPod dock and then hit shift and source, and it lets me go to auxiliary or CD, and I currently have a CD player in there. So that's the only little tricky thing about this. Everything else is straight ahead. There is a pitch control on here. It has search and play and stop and the normal things a CD player. So nothing out of the ordinary with that. Just remember the shift and the source is what I have to do to change from auxiliary to iPod to CD player. Okay, for now I'm going to remove this. When I shut the door, I'm going to actually leave it locked in there. This is a CD recorder. I supplied the church with about 100 blank CDs, which is sitting over here to the side. And obviously, CD recorder, you put the CD in, let it go through its process. It's going to say table of contents reading, and the input in the back of it determines what it records. So this setting always has to be where this button says input select, if you can't see it in the video, and this input select goes from coaxial to analog to optical. This setting always has to be on analog setting because we're using just a standard RCA inputs on the back to record. So you put the disc in, let it read, it takes it a few minutes, and then you'll get a display that says blank disc, and when you do, you can just hit record, and you're recording your CD. Always you have to, on these, finalize the CD. Once the CD is finished, you have to stop it, and you have to hit finalize, and you have to hit the jog wheel that says, do you want to finalize, with a question mark, and you hit yes, and it takes it about 2 minutes approximately to finalize it. When a disc is finalized, you can take it out, go put it in a duplicator, and make copies and give it to whoever you want to. If you take the disc out without finalizing it, don't panic, there's no problem. You can put it back in the unit, and it will actually play in the unit that created it, but you do have to finalize it in order to make duplicate copies. And the church also has a 3-to-1 duplicator. So that's a quick rundown of the rack, nothing out of the ordinary. We installed the door back for safety purposes. And that's it. Joey at Sound Systems in Myrtle Beach. And you can give me a call if you have any questions. I'm at 843-602-5883. Thanks.